Right, it reminded me. The article will have 3 examples to illustrate different aims of different pieces of communication.
Sorry, you were saying?
A diagram to show the communication process with a legend underneath describing the barriers to communication, being from the sender, the receiver, or both. And thirdly, another diagram showing a simple communication model within an organisation. And then a comment on how the relationship between the managers and the staff and communication itself. So it's one newsletter with the diagrams, either printed version or email version. So,
sir, in the last class, you said that you would send one of the samples or one of the already made assignments for this newsletter thing, so that we can have
information.
I've put that onto the Moodle platform. Did you not pick it up? I'll come back to that in a minute then. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So, did you make a start on that yet?
Yeah, I did.
Ah, good. How far have you got with that?
I am done with the first part of the task 1. That's an article explanation of the aims of communication with 3 examples.
Yeah.
With different aims. But what I was confused about was the remaining parts of this task. That was the diagrams.
Ah, well.
Yeah. So I don't know how to put them in.
Right. Well, if you go into the PowerPoint presentations that we've had a look at over the last. Hang on, let me pick one out.
Yeah, that I understand. But the requirement is the newsletter.
Yeah, yeah.
So it needs to have certain sizes of fonts. You see, like newsletter, it has different fonts, different headings, and stuff like that. So I was confused about the font size because the actual font size requirement is 12 and Arial.
Yeah.
Like 2 space line and.
That's right. Yeah.
So I didn't know that newsletter newsletter has to be of a standard size, or could it be customized in this specific task?
Well, you could customize it, yes. But for the actual worded documentation, it should be in that format because that's easiest to understand for people and at a reading level that everybody can see. Some people, I mean, if everybody had perfect eyesight, you could probably do with a smaller font, but people don't. So to get things read properly, you have to look at how it's presented as well as what is actually being presented in it. So when it comes to a diagram, you can get your diagram or retrieve a diagram from elsewhere to show exactly what the communication process is. So it's a copy and paste, if you like, and then once you've got your diagram, you can then describe where the barriers are in communication on the particular issue that you're going to pick on there. Yeah. So it can be a barrier from the sender, or a barrier to the receiver, or both ways. You can choose either one of those. It doesn't matter. Again, on PowerPoint 3, I think it is, there is a diagram showing a simple communication model within an organisation, and comment on how the relationship between the managers and staff communicate. Yeah.
Okay.
So that will actually fulfill the requirements of Student 1. But this is what I wanted to remind you of, that the actual learning objectives and the assessment criteria that each of these tasks covers will not be just from one learning objective. So 1.1, 1.3, 1.4 are covered, yes, but also 4.1 and 4.2 if you complete it in that format. So what I would suggest, Malia, if you've got that far now, send it to me as it is, and let me have a look at that, and then I'll make some comment for you and send it back to you. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Daniel, how far have you got along the line on here?
I'll do that from today. And,
yeah.
I don't have a problem. Yeah. Just, I'm just
Sorry?
following this.
Right, okay. Well, again, that's for your benefit then. So this is really what you need to do for task 1. Read the task and fulfill as much of that as you can. Now, as I've explained before, if you've got an issue with any part of it that you're not sure about, just send me an email, yeah? I will follow that up immediately or as soon as possible, and then you'll be able to continue with that. Is that okay?
Okay.
Right. Have you any questions on that section that you need me to highlight for you?
I'm not sure. Maybe at the office, they might have one.
Is that a no?
In the office.
Sir, I would prefer if you could actually send one of those samples or already made portion of that assignment so that I could just have an idea.
Can you? Yeah. Have you got access? You've got access to the Moodle, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be on there. I'll check actually. While we pull that back a minute.
I think you just unplugged my computer. I'm sorry.
It's not downloaded. Okay. I will do that. Okay, just make sure it's not there.
I think you might have unplugged it by accident.
No, it's not up there. I'll put that on for you. Actually, I'll as soon as we finish with this session, I will immediately. I'll email that to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Let's go back to the.
Are you tomorrow? Yeah, every day. Yeah, full time now.
Yeah. But I'll go back to there again now. Actually, I'll bring that.
Why is it take? Oh, I see. You don't need to take it. I'll go with you actually. I'll carry them. Are you sure? Yeah, I'll come with you. I can get you 3. If I won't get the bag, I don't believe in that. Well, I'll come with you and I'll take them. Oh, that's good then. Yeah. My computer takes a long time to load. It's doing updates. So if we go now, I might as well go now. We're doing for the next 10 minutes. So yeah, just give me a second. Six bags. Yeah, we can take these with them, kind of. Over the bag. And then 15 minutes. Yes? Alright, I'll come with you.
I can see your problem here. This wasn't. I was understood it was on one of these, and it's not. Yeah. Okay. So coming back to that, I will make sure you've got those on. Yeah. In task 2, it's a second issue of a newsletter, and this time it should focus on the types of your communication or forms of communication that you should include. So an article discussing the forms of communication, 3 examples of different communication mediums for different situations within an organisation. If you remember session 2, I think it was, we looked at team briefings, whether face-to-face communications, within groups within an organisation, and we also looked at email distribution and when it should be used and when it was best not to use it. And we also looked at newsletters and memos that were put on notice boards and that sort of thing. So you're looking at 3 examples. I think there was about 6 on that presentation. So you can pick any 3 on there and discuss those for the different situations within any organisation. An article on face-to-face communication. So if you've used team briefings, for example, on the first part of it, you can then continue into that with about face-to-face communication, why it would be used in that situation where you're working within a team, and why it's probably the best communication to use to make sure that everybody is on the same page, which in, let's say, a sales-oriented area would be absolutely important, because things can change on a day-to-day basis in that industry. Again, how to communicate effectively, discussing the role of both physical appearance and we discussed body language. If you remember, there was some pictures of people on there with different expressions that we went through, and that would give you a clear example. If I'm delivering face-to-face in a lecture, and I can see students are fidgeting or looking sideways or not looking at the subject matter and myself, there is obviously some miscommunication between what I'm doing and what they're actually receiving. So I need to look at that as well. And this is where body language is important both ways, because it just doesn't discuss what I am doing. It's also what the receiver is doing as well. And in face-to-face situations, that is important. And then an article focusing on written communications and differentiating between what's a formal report, what are just letters to clients, and also informal emails, newsletters, etc., within an organisation that may be delivered rather than electronically, it delivered in a hard copy. And any tips? I mean, I think it covered on there, looking at the way to make it effective. With written communication, if you've got too many headings or too many things on a page, it can be off-putting to the reader. You need to make sure that you've got, and this is where the question, Malia, you mentioned before, the size of the text, the spacing between the text, how much text is actually on the page can make a huge difference to the receiver. An example I can give you that is if you are in a position in human resource management and you have to look through a number of CVs or resumes from people who are applying for work. If you've got a CV or a resume that's 4 or 5 pages long, it might be impressive, but it probably won't all get read. If you've got one that is clear, concise, and says exactly what's relevant to the job that's being applied for and contains either one page or a double-sided page, it's more likely to get fully read by the person that's reading it, and the chances of you getting that job are much greater than if you'd sent a huge resume of what you've done over the last 20 years. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of it is common sense with any communication. Most of it is common sense. It is just actually drawing your attention to finding the most effective method and then using it in the most effective way. So there are 2 sections to it. There's not just the actual production of it, but there's actually the delivery of it as well that makes the whole process meet the objectives that you're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So again, on the delivery and submission, that is just a newsletter. There are no diagrams asked for in this one, but diagrams to some extent reduce the amount of writing you've got to do. Quite often, a PowerPoint presentation will contain many diagrams, because a visual objective is easier to understand if it's got some background to it in terms of pictorial view that you can easily understand.
Mm-hmm. But my point is that the standard requirement of the assignment on the Moodle is 12 font Arial with 2 line space. But when we are going to do specifically this assignment task, 1 of 2 or even 1 of 2. Wait, just a second. Let me see. The first task and the second task we need to write in different font size so that it is more like presentable in a newsletter form.
Yes,
We cannot
exactly.
just go on with the standard writing of a simple document. So since we will be using different font size, I hope that won't be contrary to the actual standard that's the requirement in the overall course.
No, it won't, because once you've sent me the work, if there are anything on there that I'm concerned about, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Is that clear to you, Daniel?
Sorry.
Yeah, you okay with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Task 3 is, whilst the tone of the 2 new letters should be made light, you are also asked to create a memo with a formal policy regarding the use of IT. I think, as we discussed in PowerPoint 4 or 5, sorry, where we looked at legal aspects of the process. Many companies will have a use of IT policy. A number of companies dismiss people for using IT during the working hours for their own benefit, or for their own use, I should say. But when they were taken to tribunal about it, because they had no specific policy in place, then they had to withdraw those sackings. So most companies now will have a clear IT policy of what can be used and what cannot be used whilst in working hours. In fact, I think it went on to say there that many larger organisations will have something called an intranet, which will be sort of a small internet within the organisation itself. And that must be used for all communications within their organisation. That then makes sure that that people cannot use it for their own use, because it will be visible to everybody. So it should contain a policy and some tips about data security. The memo should be constructed, a short introduction, the policy itself and what it should contain, an introduction discussing the components of computers or the uses of computers for communication, including email, chat, video, and voice over IP. The requirements regarding data protection and confidentiality. I think we went into that quite deeply because there are an awful lot of, I won't say new, but newish laws that have been developed with regard to data protection and security of information, because of everything that's gone on in recent years, the amount of hacking that goes on, viruses introduced, and various other things that will certainly affect the effectiveness of any organisation if they do not have some sort of protection from this. So the tips to complement the policy should include things like threats, data theft, virus and hacking, and how to prevent them. There are, in that, I think it was 5, PowerPoint 5, it covers all of that section there. So you can be able to have a look back onto those and to see what we said during those processes to make sure you can fully complete that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those are clear on there. What I want you to do now is, Maliha, you can send me literally everything you've done up to now, and I will have a look at that and give me some feedback on it. Daniel, if you can make a start on that now and send it to me in the next, certainly in the next week anyway, so that I can have a look how far you've got.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Like I say, it doesn't matter. Just put something together that I can have a look at. I'm not here to criticise you or pull you down in any way. I'm really there to support what you're doing, and the feedback that I will give you will be constructive in terms of what you need to do. Yeah. So don't worry about what you've written. Just put it together and let me have a look at it. Yeah.
Okay.
On terms of, did you get the email with regard to learner work at UK Versity?
What specifically from that email address?
Yeah. If you've got work to send, you send it to learnerwork@ukversity.co.uk. Yeah. And obviously that will be then directed to me under the new system, and I will pick that up, do the work that needs to be done, and send you that back. Now, I asked you to send it as a Word document so that I can use review, and I will then actually put in little pockets at the side reviews on each individual assessment criteria, so that you know you've got it covered, or what you need to do to actually fully fulfill it. Yeah, getting my words mixed up. Is that okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there are no more presentations on this unit. We've finished those now, so we need to get the work in now as soon as you can, and then we can work through it. Sort of once I've sent you some feedback, if there's anything to do on there, once you've done it, just send it me back again, and then I will do a full. I think I've got one somewhere. I'm just going to have a look. Yeah, it's this one. Yeah. When we've completed that particular unit, or even the first part of it, I will send, as well as the review on the Word document, I will actually show here where you've actually completed. So categorization of business communication, you've done this by using this, this, and this, and you'll get an assessment report in each section. Yeah, it'll be 1.1 to 4, and I think it was 4.1 and 2. Yeah, so those will be covered in that assessment. Yeah.
Okay.
To task 1. Yeah. So this sheet, we'll pass it backwards and forwards. When I've done some assessments on it, I'll send it back to you. When you've completed any additional work or whatever, I will then send it back to you, and it will have here pass or refer, and the reference will say exactly what you need to do.
Okay.
Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, Daniel, are there any further questions you've got for me today?
So won't we cover learning outcome 5? We were left with that one.
Learning outcome 5, yeah, here. Yeah. Well, that is part of, let me have a look. I'll down a minute. Oops. That is part of task 3. Learning outcome 3 will include assessment criteria 2.1, 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. Those are all in task 3, yeah? 1.2, 2.2, 3.1, and 3.2 are in task 2, and the rest of them, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 4.1, and 4.2 are in task 1, yeah? So those are the detail of the ACs covered in each of the separate tasks that you're going to complete, yeah? So at this stage, you don't need to put an introduction and a contents list in at this point. You just need to send me the work at this point, and then we'll work from there. When it's complete, we'll then put, yeah, the page numbers and everything else in. What I will do is, where's that? Yeah, what I will do is I will, see if I can do this, split cell. Okay, yeah, I'll split this, and what we can do then is write a paper. Oh, it's gone off, but it's done that. Yeah, we can write page number in there, and it'll say which page of your work that particular bit is covered in. Yeah. So we've got an audit trail, if you like, to show yes, it's passed and it's on that page, and there's the assessment of it. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, as I say, I will send you some examples more or less straight away as soon as we close this afternoon, and you can have a look at those and then work on from there. So, is there anything further from you before we close this afternoon?
No.
No? Okay. And don't forget, you can, at any time, if you've got a question that you've not brought up now or whatever, we can cover that in a mail to me and I'll respond. Okay then?
Okay.
Right, thanks for your attention this afternoon. I look forward to receiving some work from you.
All right.
Bye now. Bye, Daniel.
Thank you.
Bye.